Hello and welcome to Doom Does DVD, and this is Disney Classics number 18, The Sword in the Stone. Now, not wanting to sound like a broken record or anything, but this is yet another one where I know I have seen it in my youth, but not rewatched it for so long that I basically don't remember anything about it. But in this case I do know that it's based on the legend of King Arthur, which I know from multiple other sources. I just don't know which elements of that story this takes and how faithful it is. Funnily enough, just the other day I was watching The Kid Who Would Be King, which is a bit of a different take on the story, but it's still has very many similar elements and was actually surprisingly better than I expected it would be. Before that, probably the TV series Camelot from a few years ago is probably the most recent adaptation I've seen. But the poster calling Merlin a whiz-bang wizard of whimsy and everything looking kind of cutesy, I have a feeling that this one will be a slightly less serious take on the story. I feel like this is one where my memory of it is just that little bit out of reach, and as soon as I watch it again it'll all come flooding back. So let's see if that's the case. Well, that was not what I was expecting at all. I said I expected memories of this would come flooding back after I watched it, but it turns out everything I remember from this film happens in the last 5 minutes. We open with the traditional live-action shot of a book opening and giving us some lovely narration about the sword in the stone, and then we don't hear about the sword in the stone again till 7 minutes before the end. Half an hour in, barely anything has happened. We've just had one by one slow character introductions and a little bit of backstory, and then everything else is just Merlin training Arthur to become the future king, but we never get any real resolution on that front. Sure, he gets the crown at the end, but knowing that everything about, Knights of the Round Table is to come in the future, it feels like it's only half of the story. So instead of all that interesting stuff, we get Merlin and Arthur pretending to be a fish, pretending to be a squirrel, learning how to read, and another cleaning montage. Merlin and Archimedes are fun characters, but everything else it seems to be missing something. There's just not enough. It's just more like a bunch of slightly associated sketches rather than one nice overarching story. Which I guess is probably fine for younger audiences, but for me that's just not really enough anymore. And much like 101 Dalmatians last week, it's another one that doesn't really have any songs associated with it. There's a couple of times when Merlin sort of sings his songs, but they're all mostly gobbledygook words like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo was. So it's not the kind of thing that's ever going to stick in your head, at least for me anyway. So this one kind of feels like a lot of wasted potential. I feel like you could have done a lot more with the entire King Arthur story rather than just a little bit of a prequel, and so that doesn't really leave me with much else to say. Reasonable animation, good performances from Merlin and Archimedes, but everything else a little bit disappointing. But oh well, they can't all be great. What did you think? Tell me about that in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next week with The Jungle Book.